Welcome to Davey Dave's Take. Today we're talking about The Substance, a new film that I saw and want to talk about because holy fuck. So Substance is about an actress that used to be a ginormous star and now she's a little bit older. She's a little insecure about how she looks now, even though she looks very beautiful. But the industry is putting a lot of pressure on her to look younger, more attractive. So she stumbles upon this black market drug that will make a younger version of herself. And as you can tell from the trailer and the premise of this movie, things go wrong. So I'll just get right into it. I really enjoyed this film. I thought this is one of the better films I've seen this year. And I'm someone who doesn't really like body horror, and that's what this film is. But this film has so much more going on than just a body horror. There are actual messages here, meanings to the film. The story was great. The performances were great. It was just an overall really well-made film. I first want to talk about the performances because Demi Moore was outstanding. This is probably one of my favorite performances she's ever done. There is this dark tone to this movie, but also comedic tone, and she nails both of those tones, because there's parts where it's absolutely horrifying, but then there are parts where she has to be a little over the top and it comes off as funny, but that's the purpose of it, and she absolutely nails it. And there's so much she has to do, and like I said, it's just an outstanding performance. Parker Crawley plays the younger version of Demi Moore, and she's absolutely fantastic too. There's a lot of different tones that character has to hit also, and I just think those two together were outstanding. But this is one of those types of films, as I was watching it, I really had no idea where it was going. I understood the whole premise. You can kind of guess where things are going to go, but there's so much in this movie, and like I said before, there's so much this movie has to say that I constantly was like, I have no idea where this is fucking going, and I love films that can do that. But the best part about this film, I have to say, is the tone that it strikes, because this film, at points, is horrifying, and it's extremely gross. And if you have a weak stomach, kind of like me, I wouldn't recommend watching this film because there's a lot of needles, and there were points where they're putting needles in the bodies and I almost passed out. But there's more to that. There's like purpose to some of the imagery in here that has to do with how the industry views older actors and actresses, what's required of them, and some of the things that people are willing to do to get back to that certain status. So when things are happening, you understand why, and there's real purpose to it, but at the same time, the filmmaking here is so great that there's so many creative things that they do. They take the film in ways you wouldn't expect, and visually, it's just crazy. And those are more the disturbing and tragic parts of the film, but then there's a funny side of this film. This film is actually very funny. There's a comedic tone that's very over the top that works with this film, because right off the bat, the film establishes it's supposed to be some kind of fantasy. It's not supposed to be taken extremely serious, but the themes and what it's trying to say are supposed to be taken seriously. So there are moments throughout the film where you are affected by some of the fucked up things you're seeing, but at the same time, some of the stuff that's completely over the top is very funny and very fun. Like Dennis Quaid, I really loved his performance here, but it's so over the top. Like, he's such an asshole, he's so energetic, but he's such a dick, which works overall with the tone of this film. And I have to say, the last 20 minutes of this film is probably the most insane thing I've ever seen visually. Like, it is batshit bonkers fucking crazy what I was watching. And it was an incredible experience because seeing this in a movie theater with a bunch of people and seeing half of the theater looking like they're about to pass out or throw up, and then the other half of the theater were laughing so hard they were crying, like me, I literally couldn't breathe because of what I was watching. But it's hard to explain because it absolutely works. It's not like that schlocky, bullshit, stupid horror movie type of visual that you're watching. It works because it's trying to be over the top, it's trying to be insane, and it feels like the overall film has complete payoff because of it. And it does tie back to everything that this film is trying to say, the message of all of it, what our characters are trying to do, and that's why the finale of this film I thought was fantastic. I don't really want to spoil anything about this film. I really had no issues with it. The only thing I could say was it was a little too long. It's like almost 2.5 hours. It probably could have been like 2 hours and 10 minutes. There's things they could have shaved down. But overall, this was just like an original film, body horror film that had real messages to it, that had characters that were interesting, a tone that really worked, and visually it was so fucked up, and parts of it was very funny, parts of it was disturbing. It reminds me of The Fly in a way, which I love that movie, and I know a lot of people do. So that type of praise to show this film is really good. I really enjoyed The Substance. It's one of the more memorable experiences I'll probably have in a long time, and I would say it's definitely one of my favorite films of the year so far. I'm going to give The Substance 9 Davey days. I really do need to say again, if you do have a weak stomach or if you don't like needles, I would avoid this movie because there's like 200 points where there's needles going in the bodies and there's some visual shit here that's fucking disturbing and gross. It's one of the grosser films I think I've ever seen. But if you get past that, it really is a great experience and I really enjoyed it. So, The Substance. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davey's Takes.